And we're back. Hey, hi Allie. There's Odessa. She's in. She's nice and toasty now. Just thought you guys would like to know. I let her in. It's not as cold as it's been, but it's about to get real cold up here. Anyway, hello beautiful people. Welcome back. Or welcome to, but maybe back, since this is my second video of the day. To another Bangs audio review, we've got the I'm looking at it, I can't even say it right. BGVP Feather. A single DD 4BA hybrid in-ear monitor, as it says right on the box, which is good, because I was confused. I thought it was an in-nose monitor for some reason. Anyway, maybe that's why it sounded so muffled. Sorry. Yes, so we did the comp earlier with the EA500LM. I have a little bit more to say about that, and the other comp that I did was the Open Audio Witch Pro. Yeah. So we'll get to the comps towards the end, but since we're officially doing an official review, thought we'd do an unbox and specs and build and fit and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get started. The Feather comes in a nice box. I like the way that BGVP packages their stuff. Yeah, the DMA is no exception. Even though it's small, it's really well done. So yeah, magnetically closing flaps here. You've got a nice, sort of little over the top explanation as to how to use them, but at least you can read it. It's not like a micrometer font or size text, so that's nice. Anyway, good stuff there. Case was here. IEMs were in the case in here for a nice safe way to go. There was a bag for the cable. Cable came in here. Ear tips in here. I like the ear tips. Here's the problem for me with ear tips, is that the medium, most of the time the medium fits in my right ear just fine, but the large gets so large, like going from medium to large, that it's just not comfortable. Like my left ear is a medium large, so when there's a medium large size available, that's what I have to go with, because large is too big for most, not all. We'll talk about the tips too, the Exquisite tips. So yes, everything you need, nice tips, nice cable. I'll show you the cable in a minute. Nice box, nice unbox. Good. It's $109, guys. I've seen a lot of chintzier stuff for $109. A lot of not so nice packaging. Anyway, whoa! Oh, there went my flashlight. That's okay. Things are flying. Case, same case as the, well, not quite the same. I feel like the quality level is just a little bit higher, but now that I'm looking at them, nope. Pretty much the same exact case as the DMA comes in. There's the DMA. Speaking of DMA, the DNA of the DMA is definitely noticeable in the Feather. That is for sure. Your cable, sorry, I already put the box away, but there is a 3.5 millimeter termination in there as well, so it's a modular cable. This concerned me because there's not a lot of resistance here or friction to keep it together, but I did notice something. It's magnetic. So there is a magnet there that keeps it from just popping off. You actually do have to give it a good yank. Now, if you're like me and you're doing something, and like me, the dishes, and you hook it on like a handle to a drawer, yeah, it's going to pop off. But again, I'd rather have it that way than pulling them out of my ears or possibly damaging, the connection point at the IEMs. So, cable is, I think it's nice. I'd say it's a nice cable for $100. Little bit of just a slightly tacky feel, tiny little bit stiff, not a lot of memory. It feels like a nice cable. It feels like a cable should feel if you're spending $100 or so. If this were $250 set, well, yeah, I would expect a nicer cable, but I think for its price point, the fact that it's modular, the ear hooks are not super, aggressive, nice cable. No complaints, no need to cable swap on this one. Insofar as the build quality goes, I was going to go into specs, but I'll do build first. The build quality is a 3D printed resin. I'm gonna read it right off of the Syeindunce website because that's where I got these from, of course. And I will link their main page, the Syeindunce.net page, to this. In case you still have a gift card you haven't used yet, or just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, these would be kind of cool, I think. So we'll link the Syeindunce.net product page to the description and let you guys have at it. Advanced double layer acoustic chamber for superior sound quality is what they call it. It's a 3D printed resin. And on the moving coil, in other words, the dynamic driver, 10 millimeter, it's got the N52 neodymium magnets. But here's the interesting. It's neodymium, and then Fe, which I know is iron, and then B, and I looked up B, so it's NdFeB. B is boron, and that is not like that's not an element that I'm familiar with. It is solid at room temperature. At least I looked that much up. So if it is indeed like neodymium, iron, and boron, that's a really interesting magnet. So just thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, four BAs, 2 of which are Phoenix BAs. Those are the high frequency ones, and then 2 handle the mids. So there's your configuration. And as far as the faceplate goes, let's throw some light on it. I feel like I'm a little scattered right now, probably because, well, I am, but not microdosed. So yeah, if you can see this, that is freaking gorgeous. They're actually feathers. Okay, so you could see feathers, and it was like something to do with a dragon and bird sort of, tribute to. I can't stop looking at it. God, I'm not even stoned, and I can't stop looking at it. It's so freaking gorgeous. So yeah, faceplates, whoo, A+. Might as well just throw the specs in here too, because we're kind of all over the place. So resistance is 18 ohms, and sensitivity is going to be, I think it was 107? Yeah, 107. Frequency response, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, of course. And your cable material, just so we cover all our bases, 4 strands of single crystal copper silver plated. There we go. Okay. Unbox, specs, build, fit. Yeah, and one word on the fit. For me, I mean, there's absolutely no reason that these should be uncomfortable for anyone. Ooh, that's the vent. I almost forgot the vent. Look at, okay, all right, hold on. Sorry. There's a vent here. It's a pretty cool looking vent too. Hard to really get that probably in the picture too well, but yeah, so venting. So when you put them in, you think, uh-oh, there's going to be pressure buildup, but there isn't, because they've got that beautiful vent on the top rear of the shell. Nice. Little red dot here to tell you that's the right one. Blue dot on the left. These little things like this, just really, I really like it when companies pay attention to the little stuff like this. It really, I don't know, it just impresses me, especially when it's on a $100 set. Like I expect detail. If I'm spending over $200, you better be on the details. I guess the laundry's done. So yeah, so I just really love the little details of it. Now on the fit, for me, after a long while, and I'm talking about a couple 3 hours, it was pressing into the back of my concha, my ear, my outer ear, a little bit, to the point where I did feel the need. I had to take them out for a bit, 5-10 minutes tops before I could pop them back in. And it didn't feel immediately uncomfortable. It just kind of like that, sort of pressing, not pressure, pressing on my outer ear built up after a long period of time. So yeah, but that's me. That's me. I've got the probably medium to large ear canals, and then a smaller outer ear. So you probably won't run into any comfort issues I would say most normal people, most normal people, who's normal? Most people will not run into comfort issues with these. So, yeah, there we go. Oh my God, how long have I taken? 10 minutes? We haven't even gotten into the graph yet. All right, let's get into the graph so we can get to the nitty gritty here. Thanks for hanging with me. Who's that? Oh, it's my wife. I told her, I told you I was recording. I'll have to call her back. If it's important, she'll call me back. Anyway, ignoring the spouse. Graph. Here we go. Okay. So if you guys have seen this in the community and were wondering, like, the first thing that sticks out is this peak at 5K. And yes, it exists. And yes, you can hear it. And no, it is not jagged, piercing, hot sizzle. It's accentuated. Yes, it is. Okay? So if you're treble sensitive, like I mentioned in the comp video, if you're treble sensitive, something like the EA 500 LM is too much for you, or the 500 OG, run. Okay? Because it's not going to work for you. I can't tell you how smooth it is and how articulate and how well integrated it is. I mean, I can tell you all of that, which I just did. But if you're sensitive to it, it's not going to be good. It just won't be. And the other part of it is, you look at this. This is a steep ear gain. Like, oh. So yeah, if you're sensitive to that too, okay, go ahead, join the treble sensitive people and run away fast. This doesn't bother me, and I'll tell you why. Neither of these things bother me, because they are like red lights and they're no-goes and they're deal breakers for some people, and I totally get that. It is because, and I'm just going to say it again, it's because of the freaking driver quality, right? If these were just your average everyday BAs that they threw in there and tuned it this way, it would be ouch. 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 But luckily, it's BGVP. They don't mess around with their drivers, even in their $100 sets. So the BAs that they used, I mean, this tuning is purposeful. They did it for a reason. They did a deep V, because I know there are fans out there of the deep V. I happen to be one of them. It's not my daily driver preference, but when I'm in the mood for something like this, or the Witch Pro, or the EA 500 LM, or something like, if I had a Fat Freak set, something like that, this is the tuning. Like, this is where it's at. It's a beast. It is, what did I say, the title? Heavy Bass Haunting Brilliance. There you go. And Boron. So, let's go to the mids. Slightly recessed. Okay. Yeah, slightly. I mean, not as much as the graph might indicate. I mean, I know there's a huge drop between the 94-ish, peak here at 5K, 92, 91, 92, and the sub bass. It drops, but that's what the V is about. And it doesn't mean that you can't hear vocals, because you can. It doesn't mean that you can't hear instruments in this range, because you can. It doesn't mean that vocals, like male vocals, lack weight, because they don't. And it doesn't mean that female vocals are recessed or shouty in through this range either. It's balanced as a deep V goes. It is balanced, because the bass hits like a freaking truck. And the treble is super energetic, and the mids are just slightly back. This reminds me of how I used to tune my stereo when I was a kid. Like, I had my first stereo in my room and got my first CD player, and I think it was Appetite for Destruction was like my first CD, I believe. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. I think that was the first CD I owned. I used to tune it with, it was like a 5-band EQ, and it would be like bass all the way up, treble all the way up, and then a step down, one step down, like mids pretty much at 0. So it was like, I think it went up to 5 on each. Yeah, 5. It was like -5 to +5. So it was like 5, 3, 0, 3, 5. So I have a weakness for this tuning because that's, and granted, the speakers were shit. So like, like it was just, you couldn't bring the mids up on them because they just sounded terrible. But luckily they handled bass and treble pretty well, so that's how I tuned it. So yeah, I'm always gonna be like, yeah, it takes me back. But again, I know for sure it's not going to be for everybody. From a technical standpoint, I mean, get out of town, right? I mean, the micro details, especially in the mid treble, like you're gonna hear instruments in a different way. You're gonna hear things that you haven't heard. For me, it was a lot in the guitars, for Tool and Tesseract and Mastodon, and and even Radiohead to an extent, of picking up like different harmonics and different like string pulls and picks and stuff like that, taps, like that I hadn't really noticed before. This kind of accentuates that. Anything in this range you're going to hear much more much more succinctly, much more present than most sets that don't peak out at 5K. It's not super sibilant. It passed the Spirit Box test, Circle With Me, and Holy Roller, Flying Colors. It was not too much. So yeah, I mean, it looks really harsh. It doesn't sound that harsh, I was impressed. And the bass just, my God. All right. So yeah, overall, I'm digging this set. I'm impressed, but I also know it's going to have its fans and it's going to have its detractors, just like the Witch Pro had its fans and its detractors. But I think this is a little bit more universal because I do believe the drivers are better in this set than the Witch Pro by Titch. Sorry, honey. But the mid bass is, all right, so let's say sub bass, bass, mid bass. So both the bass and the mid bass are slightly more present in the Feather than they are in the Witch Pro. Speaking of which, might as well just get into the comps here because I've already started. The Witch Pro is a little heavier in the sub bass, but not by a ton. I did test this theory out by listening to Virginia Beach, which I haven't listened to in a while, in the test track list, by Drake. And there's a bass drop in there that, if you don't have sufficient sub bass, does not get picked up. It just kind of goes dull, both of these sets pick that up. But I think that there's a little less control happening with the Witch Pro, which if you're a bass head, you really don't give a shit about, because they just plow, with that sub bass. But the bass on the Feather, in addition to being a little bit more well-rounded, having a little more, bass over and mid bass, like the sub bass leads the way, but those two are, the further you go up, you can tell there's more presence here than there is in the Witch Pro. Yeah, and then I think similar in the ear gain, but the treble on the Feather is superior. It is brighter. I mean, it's kind of like, what was the other open audio set we did? The Siren. Yeah, it's pushing like the Siren for that upper mids, lower to mid treble area. But it's balanced out. It's just really well balanced out with the bass. Whereas I think the Witch Pro is a bass head set, and if you're a bass head and you don't really care as much about the treble and the articulation of that, the Witch Pro has a little bit more bleed to it as well, even though it's got a little less overall bass, not sub bass, just mid bass. It's a little less controlled. So I love the Witch Pro. It's a really, really freaking fun set, but from a technical standpoint, it doesn't hold up to the Feather. And the Feather, the other thing that the Feather's got going for it, which brings us back to the other comp, the other thing that it has going for it really a lot is your detail retrieval and your soundstage. So one of the biggest things that people like about the LM, SimGot EA500 LM that is that it's got a really immersive soundstage. The Feather, I would say, is at least as immersive, if not a little bit more, than the LM. Like, this might not be a straight upgrade, 90 versus 110, but I still feel like it's a slight upgrade. I feel like it's just a little bit more cohesive overall, and I feel like even though the treble looks a bit spicier than the LM, let me bring the LM back up. We'll go left channel to left channel. What was I saying? Oh yeah. In some ways it is just a touch spicier in spots, but in some ways the LM is a touch spicier. And here's the deal. The LM does this all with a single dynamic driver, right? Lithium magnesium coated dynamic driver. The Feather does it with a dynamic driver and 4 BAs. To me, even though you might think that, and you might be right, that the LM is a little bit more cohesive, I don't think that it is. I think the Feather is just as cohesive. I think the BAs give it the advantage because of the crossovers, what they're handling, what they're allowing the dynamic driver to do on its own, how well that huge steep upper mids ear gain area is handled by the mid-range BAs, and then how well the treble is handled by the Phoenix BAs. It's something to behold. It really is. Like, I wish everybody would try these. I know not everybody's going to because of the graph and because of the treble and the steep ear gain. I get that. Not everybody's going to try them, but I wish you would. For $109, it's a low risk, high reward situation in the whole scheme of things. I know $109 is not cheap to some people. I mean, technically speaking, it's not really cheap to me either. And yeah, I think it's tough sometimes to take a flyer if you're not comfortable in that price range. But if you are comfortable in this price range, and I didn't convince you to take a flyer on the Witch Pro, then please take a flyer on the BGVP Feather. Honestly, like, you won't regret it, folks. You really won't. If I could listen to these, and I have over the past couple of days, I've had an ample amount of time to listen to test tracks and full albums and listen to metal. And if they can play metal without absolutely destroying my eardrums, which they did not, with that tuning, I don't know. I can't really say enough about them. I mean, they're exciting. They're an exciting, fun, warm bassy. No, but you know what I'm saying. They're a fun, exciting, energetic, just a really fun listen. That's the best way I could put it. They're a super fun listen with some pretty serious techs. Now, all for $109. The case, the cable, the tips. Yeah, they're a winner. They're a highly recommended. Another one, guys. I mean, I feel like I'm on a roll. I know I'm going to come back down to earth here because I've had the Syeindunce Tino in and out of my ears for over a week now, and it's a good set, but it's not the Feather, and it's certainly not the P50 from EPZ. So I think that's the one we're going to hit next. I think we're going to have a little comeback down to earth. We'll do a $70 IEM that is pretty good, but not like amazing, So look forward to the Tino on Monday. I may throw in a Bangs After Dark this weekend, like really after dark, because I'm probably going to wait for the Bills game to be over with, hopefully with a Bills win Sunday night before I do that. We'll see how it goes. But if I don't see you before then, I will see you Monday for the Syeindunce Tino and comp with the Syeindunce Sono. All right. Thanks for tuning in twice today, folks. For now, be careful, be safe, be nice. I love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. See you soon.